Hi, and welcome back. In this lecture, we're going to talk about key insight 3: diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. So, what is DEI and B? So, these are policies and programs that promote the representation and participation of all different groups of employees. So, people from different cultures, religions, ethnicities, nationalities, sexual orientations, ensuring that the company is welcoming of all these wide variety of groups and provides ample and equal opportunity to make them feel safe and comfortable in the workplace, and also create a thriving environment for all these groups to work together in harmony. So, for the past few decades, we have been focusing on improving diversity, inclusion, and equity. So, giving the minority people a voice to be heard, to share their problems, and to address their concerns. Then we've seen the word belonging also coming into play. So, why is belonging important? So, for us to understand that, let's look at the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So, if you look at the bottom level, it's all about physiological needs. So, these are basically things like water, air, food, shelter, sleep, clothing, and reproduction. On top of that, we have the safety needs. So things like personal security, employment, resources, health, and prosperity. After that, we have love and belonging. So things like friendship, intimacy, family, sense of connection. And above that, we have esteem. So that includes things like respect, self-esteem, status, recognition, strength, and freedom. And on top, or the pinnacle of it, is basically self-actualization. So the desire to become the most that you can be, or be the best person that you were called to be. So when you look at this Maslow's hierarchy of needs, we are seeing that companies are trying to focus on all these 5 elements of the pyramid, and not just ensuring that you give some kind of employment, salary, benefits, but also having a sense of belongingness, giving people dignity and respect, but also having the right opportunities, the tools, the capabilities, the technologies, and igniting the spark in them to be the best at what they can do. So why is DEI and B so important? So the main things are it helps employees to feel much more safe, respected, and connected in the workplace. So it's not just having a job, it's about having the right ambience, the right culture, the right people that you can connect to and share and work with. That also plays a big role when it comes to job satisfaction. So it's having the right sense of ambience, the atmosphere, the people that they can relate themselves to is important for them to work and be happy and feel connected and to achieve the company's goals and objectives. So it's all about making the employees feel excited to get up in the morning and come to work. Then we have things like employees will feel a sense of belonging as they feel connected to the purpose of the company, which is basically something that's bigger than themselves. So for example, if you look at a company like Tesla, which is one of the largest car companies on the planet, their mission statement is to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy. So not only they make really cool electric cars, they also make things like solar panels and battery packs in order to accelerate this sustainability journey. So that's something that's bigger than themselves. It's not about winning the competition. It's all about being a catalyst of accelerating the transition towards sustainable energy. So having a purpose that's bigger than yourself is exciting, and you indeed look forward to coming to work because you are focused on doing big things in your life, to doing great things in your life. And to achieve and do great things, you need a lot of people working simultaneously on common goals and objectives. So this is why sense of belonging or a sense of purpose is very, very important. Then the ability to reach a wider audience. So by promoting these kind of policies, the usually marginalized and also underlooked communities can really be a part of your entire product and service ecosystem, because you can really understand the niche markets out there and serve specific products to those specific customers so that they will feel much more comfortable and it will improve their quality of life. Then another benefit would be the ability to deliver better results, as DEI and B companies are much more closer to real world representation. So when you have wide diverse variety of people, it's actually easy to test all the products and services within the company, run through any kind of cultural stereotypes or any kind of perceptions and how those perceptions might affect the customer's buying patterns or purchasing patterns. So all these things can be done and tested internally before you launch products to the customer in the marketplace. Then we have other factors like increased empathy translates to increased team building within the organization. So every human relationship, one of the key important factors is that you trust people. You trust the people that you work with. You trust that they have the best interest for you. So that's very, very important in any team. So by having empathy, increased levels of empathy within the culture, within the organization, we can have a level of trust which is very healthy and important for team building within the company. Then we have factors like increased employee retention and low turnover. Because people feel a sense of belonging and look forward to come to work, there's low turnover and increased employee retention. So what are the few things that we need to be considerate of when it comes to enforcing DEI and B policies within the company? So if you look at the COVID-19 pandemic, it changed the whole workforce, or it accelerated rather the trends that were already happening in a granular scale. So the main thing is the remote workforce. So we will be seeing a lot of hybrid workforce, or what we call work from anywhere, whether it's your office, whether it's your coffee shop, whether it's your home. So we'll have to be mindful and cautious of having that same level of benefits that you have in the physical office to the remote workforce as well. So things like work-life balance, access to healthcare, OHS are what we call occupational health and safety. So whether the seating arrangement is good, whether there's good posture when you're working on the computers, whether there are any hazards in the working environment. So factors like that must be considered. Then we have factors like diverse gender identity and gender expression. So increasing the awareness on diverse gender identities and gender expressions are also important to understand and to be respectful and empathetic about each other. Then we have factors like multi-generational workforce working side by side. So we'll be having a wide variety of people coming from different walks of life. For example, if you look at the Gen X, they're from 1965 to 1980. Then we have millennials from 1981 to 1996. And we have Gen Z from 1997 to 2012. And then we have Gen Alpha from 2012 onwards until around 2025. So all these generations grew up with different environments, different economic conditions. For example, if you look at the millennials, they've seen the entire transition of technology, and their childhood wasn't exposed to iPads and smartphones. If you look at the Gen Z, that started the beginning of the smartphone revolution, the tablets, and all these technological gadgets. If you look at the Gen Alpha, which is from 2012, they started with a massive adoption and massive penetration of technology like smartphones, tablets, laptops, Wi-Fi, and all these things. So when it comes to the workplace, they are much more tech savvy than the older generations, and sometimes the older generations might feel left out in things like social circles. So organizations must do things to ensure that there's less friction, because all these people bring different life experiences, skills, values, and voices to the workplace. Then we have things like eliminating cognitive biases and unconscious biases. So cognitive biases are basically like shortcuts that the brain uses to make the decisions. For example, if you had a very bad day, or if you went to something like Starbucks and got coffee spilled on your shirt, and you're a hiring manager and you have an interview with candidates, and you automatically assume that the candidates will not be good because you had a very bad day. So things like that must be avoided. Also, there might be unconscious biases like older employees are not competent enough, and things like that must be addressed immediately, because employees need to be aware of those unconscious biases and cognitive biases. Then we'll also be seeing hiring of diversity professionals. So companies are looking into hiring of diversity professionals. So the responsibilities are including things like holding and organizing educative sessions on diversity and inclusion, creating an inclusive culture in the workplace, and also introducing new ideas to improve the diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging, and also managing complaints on harassment and workplace discrimination and similar factors. Then increasing transparency in organizational goals. So companies setting transparent targets, goals, and initiatives, and also publicly disclosing these targets will put pressure on companies to achieve them and to be a much more DEI and B friendly company. Then we have factors like greater focus on employee well-being and mental health. So employers are taking steps to promote well-being, paid time off, mandatory vacation, and even things like period leave for women to focus on the overall well-being and mental health of the employees. Well, that's about it for diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging. Key insight 3. I'll see you on another lecture.